Europe in the books now. The Smite Minor League continues across the pond over here where we come from. North American action on the way. I'm Tom Battinger, and to join me breaking all this business down, it's the best of tacos. How you doing, buddy?
I'm really excited to see what North America has in store for us today after a couple of really spicy European sets.
Yeah, we actually had some crazy upsets. Exordium finds a win. It was craziness. But at the end of the day, we're moving over to North America, watching some of the crazy teams kind of bring it out.
And Armada is going to be who we start off with into Exilium. And haven't really seen too much from Exilium, these players being one of the more recent additions to the North American Minor League. But Armada, on the other hand, just looking to try and keep that top two positioning intact.
Armada's one of the stronger teams on paper. But as we look at how everything has landed out in actuality, it's all hype unit, baby. 3-0. Undefeated, plus minus being 6, 2-4-6. Yep, they ain't lost a game. 2-1-2, 2-1-0, and 2-1-2 here for Armada. Today is where they separate themselves from their tied up. Like you said, they're tied at 2. This is where they look to separate themselves and confirm second place if they get the win.
A lot of really important sets for all of the teams today when you factor in the ties that have been established here in second place already, because it's early on. Sure, there's definitely bound to be a lot of craziness as the split goes on, but nothing is guaranteed so far here, not with the level of competition that we've got right now.
Armada can certainly bring it. Picks and bans for game number 1 on the way. We'll take a look at where Armada decides to bring their stuff and where the other team, Exilium, decides to place their things on the battlefield. When I think of Armada, I immediately think of strong jungles. I think of strong mid lanes as well. As we jump into picks and bans here for the first one, what do you expect out of these teams?
A lot of early game pressure from Armada for sure, as that tends to be, I think, their central focus for the most part. And maybe looking towards stripping away some target focus picks from Exilium. I think Isis would be a good takeaway for the team. But then again, Armada being in that first pick position, they kind of get their pick of the litter.
Well, right now they're going to ban things off first and foremost. A little bit of a heavier prioritization of Erlong Shen here on the North American side. We noticed the European teams not really paying attention, but North American and the Pro League seem to ban out the Erlong Shen. He'll be banned or picked if he's not banned. Here, though, Armada step in front of the bullet, get rid of the Dogman and the Jackal Man. Set also going to be taken away, one of the stronger assassins over there. And then more meta bans, no surprises here, Taco.
Both Erlong and Set just pose too much of a threat to any team's backline, and if Armada want Vetium to be able to do anything, they probably should try to keep their Hunter alive here. And speaking of Hunter matchups, Olorun also going to be taken off the list here. As far as Armada is concerned, they're not really all that interested in trying to work around that time dilation.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It definitely will take some getting used to, and teams certainly have to learn it. So I think we'll see Olorun banned out, or at least picked in low priority situations. Right now, teams are a little bit afraid of it for good reason. Team Quesos today wound up losing the set, but wound up looking fantastic. Watch the VODs from earlier. Chekio played the character to great extent, so it's absolutely needed a ban. But Isis didn't get banned, and so naturally, she's first pick, and Zhong doesn't get banned, so naturally, he's second pick.
Zhong typically looked at as one of the better responses up against Isis, and
Yeah.
normally I'd be on par with that had it not been for some of those recent buffs given to Isis.
I mean, I think Zhong is still a nice answer to Isis. Are they going to be in the same lane is a different story.
I don't see Zhong out clearing Isis flat out, and if this is intended as Muzen into the mid lane against the Isis, I think that AMC could also still have the same level of struggle here, just because of the fact that he's not going to be able to beat out Wingus clear, and it's kind of tough to avoid the Spirit Balls as Muzen or even the Zhong.
But Zhong has the option of kind of shutting down that Wingus. That's the big deal. That's always been why Zhong kind of is able to flex into this kind of anti-Isis role. But as I said, Zhong has been kind of playing over that long lane. So I actually think we'll have like a mismatch. Chernobog, Isis. Again, where those land, we'll just have to see where the players play it. Guan, you and Terra can round out the drafts. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it's pretty safe to say that Chernobog is for Vetium. I don't really catch Vetium as much of a mage player. I think he's a little bit more of the traditional hunter side of things, and I think that Vetium also would want to be able to utilize that Living Nightmare a little bit more from the duo side of the map, and it's also going to cause some concerns here for that Zhong and Muzen in terms of survivability, but that's what I think the Terra is for, to try and just be that big turnaround force, because in her ultimate, it's pretty tough to want to stick around.
Ares going to be banned out here, one of the more catch-all characters. He's been very powerful and really shuts down Terra. So no Ares and no Nemesis, one of the old-school answers to Zhong being brought back into the new school. And looking at Armada's bans, no Assassins. Both NotGeno and the Serqet, high control Assassins, take it away. Time to Exilium.
Kind of surprised that Jormungandr is still not being prioritized by either of these teams. Instead, Exilium going to keep to try going with that AoE focus. They have the Zhong as well with the Ghost. Amu's and Cobb's got decent AoE spread between the Honey, and of course Terra, all of her kit is basically residing around Circle, so Fear No Evil should add right into that quite nicely. But I love this Ymir pickup. It is a little bit of the Feast or Famine selection choice here out of Armada, but if I would expect a team to have consistency and execution, I'd probably look directly at Armada.
Chaac, that last pick. Chaac, an interesting selection. If you've watched the Pro League, we've kind of had this conversation ad nauseum because Xaylia kind of chooses us all the time. I really think Chaac has a spot in the meta. Right now, we're seeing a lot of double hunters. Chaac has anti-attack speed, and he excels against those. Recently, we've had a change where Chaac knocks players directly up. He excels in those situations. Against Exilium's draft right now, I don't really see anything that makes me want to love the Chaac, but he should bring the damage at the very least.
It's just early game aggression. That is entirely Armada's forte here, and Exilium are going to have a tough time getting their carries online into the early game threats that Armada have drafted for.
Well, we got Armada with the early game. Can Exilium keep them at bay? On the horn, it's none other than Hindu Man.
And Anatoly, don't forget the one and the only Anatoly Alexeinok. And Doug LeBlanc on the Observer as well. Armada up against Exilium. A tale of two teams. Exilium, who will have fought their way through the Combine to get this opportunity to play in the Man League in the second phase. And Armada with, well, multiple roster changes since the start of the phase. Of phase one, I'd say. But mainly a lot of those names on that team you'd recognize from playing competitive, semi-competitive at least.
What an epic introduction to an epic team Armada, honestly.
All right,
because
don't overdo it, Tony. They're not that.
I have to continue what you left off with, but yes,
True,
Armada
true.
is a team that changed their roster a little bit, but it only improved, I think, for the better with Baskin now here instead of Solar Troll. Vetium now instead of Snoopy. I think Vetium is a great mechanical player. I think the synergy also out of Armada with Vetium in there allows them to do more things when you could just kind of leave Vetium alone to his own devices, and Baskin as well in both of these side lanes. So you're looking at your 3v3 core between Mask, Meerkat, and Geno.
Has Chaac got kill potential in this lane against the Zhong in this matchup? I don't
No,
think he does, right?
I don't think he does
Blink
as well.
in the mid lane, straight aggression, but Haithi going to slip the noose of that Spirit Ball that came on through too. Geno rotating in with the freeze onto Osath, who overstepped for a moment, trying to continue some pressure onto Mask there. Nice little bit of pressure. Beads expunged, though. However, for Haithi in the mid lane, he's going to have to be a little bit more careful now on this AMC.
It only takes a little bit of a push to get a big tumble down this hill, and that pressure out of Mask with the dash allows Meerkat to guarantee the stun after the slow, and Haithi having to really respect that with the beats.
Oh, the wheels need to turn pretty soon because in comes the freeze from Geno, and Wheels has to use the beats to get away. Vetium following up. A couple of nice basics in hand. Doesn't get the proc from his passive, though. Just a couple of those shards still sticking out of Wheels there. And Geno with a nice little gank. Rotates mid, puts some pressure on, rotates back, puts some pressure on.
Less than 2 minutes of time, already forcing 2 beats. The question remains is how does Armada really take advantage of that before they hit level 5? I don't expect Exilium to play too far forward after realizing their defensive cooldowns are down. So they're going to need to lean on securing these mid camps and the oracles such as Armada are doing.
Oh, you can see the Tomaku's going to go down for the second time there for Armada as Baskin picks that one up for himself too. The stage of the game, though, Tully, I was watching console yesterday, minor league today, a little bit more. It's not set in stone that you have to run these, you know, hunters mid lane, mages in the dual lane. It feels very much like it's bleeding in from the Pro League, but it's not fully there yet.
It just doesn't seem, because here's the thing about the way Pro League is doing it. There's a reasoning and the method to the madness. They put a hunter mid, and they also have the supports harass the jungle.
Hold that thought for a second, because Kyrmi's going for an invade at the blue buff, but the trap was set by Master. He knew what was going on. Funny enough, Kyrmi also used a blink to get there a little bit quicker. Didn't end up getting punished by it at the end of the day, as the blue buff does fall down and was stripped away, luckily enough.
It was stripped away. A good little start now to get the experience lead in that solo lane, but I was going to go back to that topic before where we're talking about the hunters in mid lane, but we might see another blue buff invade. No, instead, The Hunters in mid lane only thrive when your supports are able to harass the jungler, because then you're able to outclear and assist the supports later down the road once they start denying the back camps, denying the red buff, and going off of a different kind of branch. But instead, in the minor league and console league, they still pick the Hunters, and they don't do those SPL starts of the supports, so they kind of miss that opportunity to get that mid lane advantage.
Armada did get an advantage on the left-hand side just there. To answer back the blue buff that was stolen by Exilium on the right, as they invade the red buff and just strip that away from Haithi, potentially in the mid lane. Shuts down a bit of the damage that an AMC will bring, but not really the control and, well, clear potential to an extent with how safe it can be.
Anytime you can deny in the Muzen Cobb, you're going the right path, honestly, as Dishonored able to avoid the shenanigans out of Baskin. And when you were asking me earlier if there's kill potential in the solo lane, with Baskin's Chaac against the Zhong that has so much protections in his passive and now Dynasty Plate Helmet, that's not what Baskin is looking for. What he's really looking for is the ability to outclear the Zhong with the Chaac, since Chaac's ability does more damage, and then extend that lead even further with either Totem of Coups, Blue Buff Invades, or just simply out-rotating him to make an impact in the mid lane.
Yeah, Tom mentioned on the desk as well about a couple of changes towards Chaac, but hold that thought, left-hand side, Ymir's coming in for a gank here. Geno once again, wheels with his back towards it. Beads were up, beads are down again. Nice little wall too. Glacial Carpet just off the mark, but another successful gank forcing that relic.
And the way Geno is pathing on these ganks, he's avoiding the ward by going on the top side, and this is happening without blink. This is so important, the value that Geno is getting from this pick and still having a team fighting relic later down the road. Once things get a little bit dicey, that shell is going to be very useful for Armada.
Coming into this one, Exilium not managed to find a win in the minor league so far. It's a tough task, though, to walk into a new league at the bottom tier and expect to take games off the bigger end teams, but they're doing their best so far, and I'm excited to see what they could look to work on, where their areas are. Have you noticed anything over the past couple of weeks that you can see as a definite obvious sign?
Unfortunately, nothing positive quite yet. It's still early in phase number 2. We're in week 4. Geno in a little trouble.
He is. The Fierno Weevil round the back was nicely timed by Kyrmi, and Geno just bit off more than he could chew there. Deserved to be punished for his, well, overconfidence, but to be fair, with how the first 5 minutes went, I probably would have been that confident too.
With reinforced shoes, I'd be a little bit confident as well. The timing is unfortunate because he didn't finish off the Guardian's Blessing, so that delays his gold per minute as opposed to Osath that has it completed. But to answer the question of Exilium's progress in phase number 2, is it hasn't been pretty start so far, Hindu. Going 0-3, only winning a single map.
Oh, Meerkat could be in trouble here. The circle of protection used. Walls clapped down from Osath too, but a big ol' heal from the circle after the fact, and now mass re-engaging onto Kyrmi, who's low on mana, stunned in place, and that Spirit Ball will not steal my kills, said Mats. He'll charge on through and pick it up. Next on the list is the AMC, who's a couple of hits from death, and Meerkat will secure that. And all the while, Baskin realizes an opportunity to continue the pressure, strip away some harpies.
Shell was just almost enough to save the life out of Haithi, but not quite there in time. Losing out Geno, but at the end of the day, finding those 2 picks in mid because of the overextension. Fighting into an Isis circle of protection is probably one of the last things you want to do, and that's why they were standing on the outside of the circle. But that allowed Mask just a lot of freedom to get off a full Talu Assault, the Warrior's Will, everything in his arsenal, and then even using that cavalry charge to get off all 6 strikes against an Muzen Cobb that has no mobility, against a Batz that used his jump already for the engage.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there was Osath continuing the engagement. The team had already fallen back when the circle of protection came down. They realized they couldn't kill him. Osath landed a nice wall, but then the team was kind of forced to go back into a fight that wasn't necessarily on the table anymore once Meerkat popped that ultimate. With that, Armada, though, still up 2-1. Down in gold at the moment, though, thanks to Exilium getting that first blood more than anything else. On towards NotGeno earlier on. Now, Kyrmi starting to lose a little bit more of his jungle on this right-hand side. Luckily, he'll get the big creep out of that. And now Baskin has to try and run away. At half health at the moment, the Ghost expunged. Geno in mid looking for a gank too, but Baskin's going to fall. And that's a good punishment for the invasions from Baskin.
Not going to use that Stormcall ultimate to get out of that one despite getting CC immunity. He was probably dead to rights no matter what he did there. Once he committed the potential steal in the back camps, you know, there's always that risk versus reward. All right, there's a level 6 Hun Batz that's struggling behind. I'm a level 9 Chaac. My level 8 Zhong Soul, and maybe I can get this and survive. A little bit miscalculated out of Baskin.
Well, Haithi in the mid lane needs some help now. Circle protection down 2. He won't get out of that. Or the ultimate out from Geno as well. And he'll fall down as Osath was busy on the rotation there. You can just see the amount of wards placed down by Armada on the left-hand side continues to be pressured there. Exilium trying to answer that back, get a couple of sentries down themselves. But Geno's really been focused on trying to pick the mid laner, pick the Hunter over and over again.
Much more present is Geno as opposed to Osath. Haven't even seen a Terra's Earth and Fury quite yet swing these team fights, and that's an important fact to try to stop the aggression out of Armada, same way that the Circle of Protection from Meerkat is trying to stop the pressure out of Exilium. So we need to see this 3-on-3 from Exilium start the fight with the Earth and Fury and find the kills before the Circle becomes a factor.
Left-hand Harpy's up. Geno's going to be in position. Has a bit of a better clear situation than a Terra overall, but with backup for Osath here, it's going to force Geno to relinquish that pressure for now and lose those. Just continuing to allow Exilium to stay even in terms of gold this game. Baskin, meanwhile, a little bit behind in experience, but should catch up after this wave to 10 as well. Both solo laners keeping the pace.
And 3-3 in the Totem of Coups, so nothing too crazy. Very standard builds between them. We're seeing the Shoes of Focus from Dishonored and the Dynasty Plate Helmet. A little bit of penetration and cooldown reduction as Baskin gets some CDR for himself in the form of the Gladiator Shield. But Geno, this is where he died for First Blood before.
Yeah, he's got a wall though, but 3 members of Exilium grouped up. Wall out from Geno didn't really do much as Meerkat gets a nice Spirit Ball in mid. The fight though is all around the red buff, and that freeze was beautiful from Geno. Vetium's ultimate in really set it up, but Dishonored is here and looking to turn it around.
But fighting under the Circle of Protection now, it's Haithi that gets taken out of Meerkat. Mass is going to even solidify the kill onto Dishonored.
6-2 then, with 3 members dying there for Exilium. Armada get an opportunity potentially for the Gold Fury here. Ultimate available for Geno, pretty successful with these.
Even without Circle Protection, the Ymir ultimate should suffice, especially with Exilium in mid lane. And the thing that really sparked that fight to lead into Armada's favor was something that wasn't even in the engage at the red buff. It was the Spirit Ball from Meerkat onto Osath, delaying his ability to assist with the Earth and Fury at the end as the dust settles, still with his Terra ultimate, because he just wasn't in position. He's getting CC'd all the way through. He can't make the impact in 10 minutes of play.
You saw Armada there get the Gold Fury and then look to invade the purple buff too. Luckily enough, Kyrmi, is it Kyrmi? I've probably been saying his name wrong the whole time. I just realized the R is in a different place. Kyrmi. Okay, that's right. Kyrmi. He was in the right place at the right time there. I like his rotation back to the purple buff. Did enough to deny Armada from stripping that one away. Sure, the buff is one thing, but it's just the extra golden experience that you're losing. Even though that did get nerfed in the early game stages, it's still impactful because it's still gold or experience you're not getting for your team.
And then giving this kind of a lead to such an experienced team as Armada, they're going to be able to stretch this to beyond just what they have now. This is a team that's willing to do an early Fire Giant if they feel they have that window of opportunity. Baskin is a player that likes to make dicey calls, especially on his side of the map, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we'll see a 16, 17-minute Fire Giant if they continue to get these picks, especially with this level deficit in the mid lane.
I was about to say Haithi's just a little bit further behind than you'd expect at the moment. 2 levels down, he's kind of like, okay, it's understandable. 3, you're starting to see bigger issues form, and the issues are starting to be around this red buff even more so. Armada in and out nice and quick. Mass with backup from Geno, and Meerkat just in a good position to support if any action happens. And with Exilium trying to send more reinforcements to that red buff, it opened up a window on this left-hand side that Armada have exploited, specifically Vetium.
I really love how Geno is placing these walls during the invades. It's so subtle, but it's so successful at the same time to prevent Exilium from committing on the defense. If they want to go in, they have to either go wrap around all the way between, or rather on the sides of the wall, or literally jump or blink over for Kyrmi to make a play. And as a level 10 Hun Batz, I think I've seen him use 2 Fear No Evils. One that actually helped kill Baskin, and then one in the mid lane that they couldn't find onto Meerkat.
I think he's played okay, though. Kyrmi, for the most part. I think he's had a rough time of things with being pulled which way, where you didn't want to be in the grand scheme of things. He's more reinforced in a position that's under threat.
It's not really Kyrmi's fault at all, either. I don't think it's anyone from Exilium's fault. It's just that they're getting a little bit outclassed with how Armada are positioning to strike first. With the Ymir pick, it's actually been super successful with the walls.
Geno still being aggressive. Great Spirit Ball after the fact to continue the CC chain and the circle protection down 2. That'll be all she wrote for Osath there. No real chance of escaping. In one sense, he pops the ult for extra defense.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have jumped away. Vetium, though, going to ult in with the Chernobog. Looking for Haithi again, and the wall will prevent the escape. Kyrmi does get the Fear No Evil down, but that's all she wrote for him too, as Vetium picks up a double kill in the rotation. And now a tier 1 tower.
Man, when you die to that much CC as a level 11 Hunbats and you realize, man, maybe what if I did get purification beads at level 1? But yet again, Geno, with perfectly positioned walls, catches out Osath. Very delayed was the Earthen Fury. Shell was even not used at all to save his own life, and that needs to be considered for the next time.
Frozen is Dishonored, and now Geno is trying to black away with Meerkat to pull on. Meerkat may have got a little bit too aggressive. Vetium was with him too, and his Vetium's going to fall to wheels at the end of the day. Just lands that basic in time. Dishonored, meanwhile, just looking for some resustain if he can. He won't find it, as Baskin will swing that axe. I mean, it's not an axe, it's a peep, but you know what I mean.
It really is. But during all that, I was actually looking at how Geno was rotating on that team fight, and he could have actually last hit, but a true support in true support fashion gives the last hit to Baskin, the soul laner, sacrificing his own farm.
That's what you do for a World Championship level caliber player, right? He's probably one of the best players in the game, is what a lot of the pros do talk about. Baskin brings a lot to the team at the moment. He's just brought a lot of farm and a lot of levels so far in this one as he continues with his shieldy builds. Just continue to... Is that just normal now, all the shields? Or is it match specific still?
It's very specific. Gladiator Shield is definitely every single game because of its effectiveness as a bridge item, but Runic Shield is very match specific against the Zhong that has so much damage. Even by building hybrid, such as Dishonored is doing, you still want to strip away 50 of that magical power.
Baskin now still on the right hand side, looks to invade the blue buff there, and was successful, stripping that away from Dishonored as well, just to make sure he gets a 3-level lead at this point in time. Geno, meanwhile, still over here on the left hand side. Fury's about to spawn soon, and the grouping's starting to happen. Geno in position, looking towards Kyrmi if he gets an opportunity. Not the best of targets to try and go for in a Hunbats, and there's always a chance Kyrmi could turn it around with a blinking gauge.
He's really looking for either Osath or Haithi, gods that can't escape from the walls, but good positioning from Exilium, recognizing what Armada are up to, but this is where vision control truly matters, and Armada are dominating that vision control on the left side, going for their second Fury of the game.
You see how passive Exilium's being now. They're pinned back at tier 2 towers for the most part, and that's just opening the map up more for Armada. The central camps, including the Fury, now on the table and just taken away. Oracles could be an option, but first of all, why not go for a gank? Double freeze, and Dishonored going to blink over the wall to try and make something happen, but nobody there to help back him up and follow up on that one, so Ymir just walks away.
Dishonored really thought that there was a team fight about to break up, and now Armada are looking for action.
Fear No Evil comes out, but Mass with the cavalry charge just in time. Frost Breath after the fact from Geno's good to set up Vetium for a kill. Osath in the mid lane going to look to dash away, but the silence from Baskin just too much to prevent it. And now another 2 members dead on Exilium after a red buff invade. Tier 2 tower in mid on its last legs. Speed buff invade, and Armada looking good here in game 1.
They're not done yet. Hindu Geno with the blink freeze onto wheels, forcing out the Aegis. Mass can't squeeze through that wall, just barely able to get off that airstrike.
At the end of the day, the tier 2 does end up falling down. Armada took the sweet time about it, but they were looking for an extra pick or 2. Are heading back to the right-hand side here. Master a little bit low on health and mana, but on Oracles is definitely a possibility. Fire Giant could be a little bit risque. And then again, though, if you're Armada, the way Exilium defended the last Fury, I might go for a Fire Giant here.
I called it, right? 16-minute Fire Giant right on the dot. Circle protection is available, but Exilium looking for the steal.
Dishonored does not have the blink this time. In goes Kyrmi, though, just trying to make something happen with the Fear No Evil. Armada get the Fire Giant. Circle of protection is good enough for Meerkat to secure, and now Kyrmi has to somersault away. Meerkat still being chased by the Ghost of Dishonored, though, but it's not enough Ghost to get the kill. Vetium and Baskin going the front, lead the team back into the engagement though, and they've overextended a little bit too far.
The two side laners now grouping up like the Bash brothers to chase it down. Living Nightmare to enable another kill onto Haithi. Can they get anyone else though?
I don't know if they really can, but the one thing is they got more sustain out of that. However, a couple of members did return back to base, 14-3 here, and Exilium have really started to lose their pace. Early game, I actually don't think they did too bad. It was pretty much a good farming situation. They had a small gold lead, but then just 1 or 2 kills going wrong, it seems to have put them into a bit of a tattooy situation.
And against Armada, that's really all it takes. What they're doing to Exilium is slowly pushing them off of this cliff until they're hanging off by the cliff with both arms and then only one arm and then a finger. Because you back an animal to a corner and eventually they're going to try to snap back. And that's what Dishonored did with that premature blink. He thought, I've seen this story way too many times. I need to make the impact because as a solo laner, it feels really just demeaning when you lose a team fight without your presence. So he thought that he would be in the prime real estate to get off a great ultimate. And because of Armada's patience, where they lacked patience the whole game, there was the one time finally where they decided to peel it back, and all of a sudden now, without the Zhong ultimate, they re-engage, they win that team fight convincingly, get a 16.5-minute fire giant, and I don't think that they can be stopped any longer.
Not at the moment, not by the looks of this so far. Only a tier 2 tower on the left-hand side for Armada to take down of Exilium's map here. And as we were saying, like the one thing about being a newer team to the league as well is realizing where it went wrong. Because everything after the fact can be a knock-on effect of the original problem in the first place. And sometimes, you know, differentiating that is definitely a tricky issue, because sometimes it could be a communication thing. You can't always see it just in visual.
It's just hard because of how Geno's been playing this Ymir pick, completely countering Exilium. This is very uncommon to see in Season 6, such a pick work this effectively, mind you. And in a world where, you know, the Terras, the Zhong and the Muzen comps are getting prioritized, this Ymir could start seeing some increased popularity picks.
I can agree with that. I mean, to be fair, Tolly, he's been slowly but surely buffed consistently this season.
Sure.
A couple of increases to his ultimate usefulness in terms of the slow duration of the fact and the extra damage utility. He's definitely got a few more benefits, and I don't think some of the new items added to the game are a negative towards him at all.
And outside the wall placement from Geno, just his presence of forcing 2 beads within 2 minutes time makes Exilium play a little bit more cautiously.
Vetium used the ultimate towards mid lane there, expecting Baskin to be able to help him out getting the kill on Dishonored, but Dishonored did manage to heal up a little bit. Geno overextended now, trying to rotate through the gap between. Has to use his ultimate to buy him a second and some health from that crit win, or should I say shield. And Kyrmi going to take down the kill with a Fear No Evil and some bite by Mast. Ultimate out from Dishonored, hits a lot of targets, but he doesn't get any back up again. And at the end of the day, they all just turn around and whack away on him until he falls down too. Left-hand Phoenix under threat. Tell a lie. They're diving for kills.
Haithi getting popped like a weasel with that Spirit Ball. Left side Phoenix will ultimately fall once Armada decide it's wiser to stop Tower or Phoenix diving into the fountain room. And this is where the CC from Armada are just too much to handle. You can only beat for about 2 seconds at a time there in Armada. Having the ices, having the Ymir, having the slows from the Chaac and the Guan Yu is making it impossible for Exilium to hold on to their Phoenixes.
Well, Armada looking very good to close this one out relatively soon. That Spirit Ball for 780 damage to wheels was enough to make those wheels come off. And now the pressure onto the Phoenix in mid lane is almost too much to handle. One by one, they walk in like lemmings. I get the idea of trying to defend, but it's not going to work out so well now. Armada may look for the right-hand Phoenix instead. Cavalry charging from Mast, Duns Dishonored. All the onto the Zhong once more. Osath and Haithi can only watch on as the Titan is now falling.
Hey, new man, Dishonored didn't even get a chance to play the game with all that CC as Armada are looking to close out the first game in this best-of-3 set.
Vetium back in action, gets a kill in the fountain. Titan will fall down, and Armada they're going to be walking on to game number 2, looking pretty confident after that first game performance.
I love the plays from Geno on the Ymir. I love the composition from Armada. They're complementing each other so well with their draft. This is looking, honestly, like an SPL team between their draft, between their playstyle. Very subtle was how they kind of orchestrated that red buff invade consistently.
Let's have a look at the post-game stats just to see a quick breakdown for you all. If you didn't get to see the KDAs and the gold income, here's a little look for you all. Composition from Exilium here. Was there anything wrong with it? Do you think the composition's at least good? Because I'm looking at, like, where can we start with Exilium? They pick some bands that they're solid for the most part?
Their draft is good, but it's not good against Armada's draft.
Right.
And that's the problem. And they got really hard countered just by the Ymir.
We'll see if they can make some sort of difference then for game number 2 in this set. So far, though, it's all Armada. They're in the top 3 in the league. It's where you'd expect them to be for the most part. Any surprises?
A little bit of surprising to see kind of that 16-minute fire shine, even though I did call it like they have the capability of doing it. I was still surprised to see them execute that.
Well, that's it for game 1. We'll take a short break, and after the break, we'll bring you game 2.
INAP, powering the control room for the Smite Minor League.
And just like that, Armada take game number 1. Fantastic play, short stuff. Taco, you had said early game aggression is what you saw during the draft and watching the game. That's all I saw. Everybody rounded it up.
This game was just too much of a snowball from the very beginning, and there just wasn't really a whole lot of opportunity for Exilium to try and turn things around. Armada just continuously pressured into their jungle, into their buffs. Every single objective was just entirely the way of Exilium. Or, excuse me, Armada.
Exactly. And I mean, what are you supposed to do? You've got some of the most celebrated players in the entire world here. Mask in the jungle as well as a slew of other players. We'll jump into picks and bans for game number 2, and we'll see how these guys perform and if anything changes on the other side. If I'm Exilium and I have a... man, I don't even know if they have a coach. But if they do have a coach, I am immediately questioning my approach to game number 1. I definitely want to see some different things coming out here for the purple team. Armada just came out with way too much steam.
And already, ISIS being picked up as an initial ban immediately, and for good reason. I mean, I just don't think that there was really a whole lot of opportunity for anybody from Exilium to try and fight around that ISIS. The circle of protections, even when the fights did start to look like they might have a chance of turning Exilium's way, it's just too much burst damage, too much explosiveness. But Thor's also another strong look when there's so many different members on Armada that could flex pick that option.
Set also a nice choice, so take him away. Arlong Shen, we discussed him already. 2 more bans coming out. Exilium on the clock. ZK will be taken away, and Armada. Now it's their time to finish their final ban. Last time, Isis was left alone, so Isis was the first pick. Here, Armada. Ares is still able to be selected. He was banned last time. Not this time. It's Kronos. So the first choice for Exilium, Chernobog might be it.
Or a Jormungandr. I think the Jormungandr approach could be decent. I'm Muzen as well, still being a heavy priority pick for a lot of different teams. Does bring a little bit of that early game aggression as well, but it's the immobility that I have the most concerns with, considering that Armada is just such a good team at playing so grouped up and together, and also they have Baskin, and Baskin loves chasing carries.
That's certainly the truth there. In the middle lane, we'll see, or as a mage, we've seen Merlin selected, and Chernobog will be the choice. Now, again, we see these 2 characters. We know that Vetium likes the Hunter, so we can take a guess that Chernobog will wind up in the hands of Vetium in the long lane, and Merlin will wind up in that mid position. So 2 more choices here for Exilium as they're on the clock. They're going to lead with Khepri.
Khepri, I think a pretty smart decision for Exilium. Does give them a little bit of a second chance off that Scarab's Blessing, and could possibly prevent Armada from having as much control over that early game portion, since that ultimate will be available at level 5 or so. But the Serqet for that backline initiation dive is a little bit interesting. I think my main concern is the fact that there's already a Merlin and Chernobog locked in for Armada here, and the turn and burn aspect seems pretty easy to accomplish.
I feel your same woes with the Serqet. Ares selected across the way, but I will say that I do like the Khepri selection here. I think that the positioning from certain players at Exilium was a little bit questionable. Khepri always gives you sort of that like safety net, you know, that just, oops, you made a mistake, that's fine. You can come back to the Baghdad and kind of figure it all out. I like the Khepri approach because of that reason.
I think I like the Khepri a little bit less, though, and I see that Ares on the side of Armada. Don't get me wrong, I completely understand why Exilium felt as though they needed to ban away that Zhong, but if Serqet was the intent in that top 3 selection choice, you should probably look to take away that Ares, since it's such a heavily prioritized pick. It's a pick that I think everyone on Armada, except for maybe Vetium, would want to play, and it just gives so much flexibility, so much start-off pressure, because what is a Serqet meant to do when 2 out of 4 of her abilities are just shut down by shackles?
Athena, the choice here for Armada to follow up the Ares selection. I'm very curious to see where the Ares should go, because maybe Mass plays it there, maybe Baskin plays it solo. There's a lot of weird stuff that could happen here with the Ares specifically. But with King Arthur, I almost definitely want to see Ares solo.
Interesting King Arthur choice. That's the confidence for Exilium, because I can't think of any other reason why you'd want to take King Arthur into the Ares.
It's a little rough.
A little bit. Maybe it's just comfort. Exilium might just be looking for what they feel most comfortable on, as opposed to what might work best against Armada.
At the end of the day, that's certainly a strategy that has worked in the past. If you watched earlier today, Julio for Team Queso goes back to the tier and finds the plays and finds the victory. At the end of the day, I do think comfort is a big deal. King Arthur's still a strong choice. As long as he's not lane to lane against the Ares, I think he can work out. But the problem is, I absolutely expect Baskin to call the Ares, and look at that. Tier is going to get called as well. You know what, Taco? I have no idea where Armada's going to go, but they're going to go into game. So it should be exciting watching this one go all the way. Whether Armada wins this one and ends it here, or Exilium takes the game and gives us some bonus Smite, I'm here for it. Hindu, bring me the business.
Tell me about it, Tom. I hope Exilium can come back after that first game performance and answer back with a vengeance. Let's see what they can do, though, with the composition they've put together here. Khepri and Serqet combination, I do like it, Tony, just because Serqet can get so deep and then, you know, get revived after the fact if he overcommits.
That's true. That's one way to play it, but I think the way Armada played that game 1, you might need to use Osath's ultimate more defensively against your own backline. I think Haithi and Wheels might struggle if they don't receive that ultimate.
Sol in the dual lane. We're not seeing too much Sol as of late. Now and again she'll appear, though, into play. Took a couple of nerfs overall, I'd say, with how the rings got adjusted. She had a bit of a fall from grace. Not as hard as others, I'd say, but still, it was impactful. We'll see how she does here.
She's still really good at pushing towers if left unchecked, getting those objectives, using that heat passive for the extra magical power and attack speed. Not seeing really any compliments in the draft in terms of Fafnir Coerce or that Hachiman Heavenly Banner, but that doesn't mean that we won't see a Shogun's Kusari throughout the game.
Not gonna lie, I'm still tilted that Ares has got wave clear now. Like, he's got enough clear to jungle at this point. That's insane. That was one of his weaknesses. It was one of the reasons why Ares was struggling some, and now look at him just blinking. Chains. Followed up by Geno too, who's got a nice bit of damage there to follow up. It's mainly Meerkat, though, I will say, on the Merlin. And it's all just to try and get some zone work on these left Harpies. Osath, though, going to re-aggress, and Geno may have bit off more than he could chew being too far forward. Haithi's just going to land a couple of basics. Haithi, please! Land a basic! Thank you, he threw out the beads, and that's enough. Mass, meanwhile, trying to escape towards the middle area, and Osath still giving chase. Root should be up soon, but abducts up even sooner. Double kill for Haithi in the mid lane. Exilium on the board.
Just like Geno was setting up his team in game number 1, now it's Osath's turn in game number 2. These abducts have been a huge game breaker. Armada looking to be too frisky with the blink play from Mass, being a little bit too far forward with Geno and Meerkat as a result of fighting over what? Left side mid camps at 2 minutes into the game.
But still, Ares should not have clear. That's my only point I was trying to make. It just makes him too versatile in too many positions. Very, very worrisome in the early game, late game, and, well, all stages.
I would have loved to have played Ares competitively
I bet you would have.
with that change in the game, but, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Is he still viable in solo lane these days then with a bit more wave clear?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely
Or
is.
is that just the Anatoly of Season 1 talking
I don't know
to
what
me?
you're talking about.
Okay.
He's absolutely viable in every single lane, given the changes in Season 6.
Every single mid?
Yeah.
More viable than Chaac mid?
Yeah, absolutely.
More viable than Chaac mid in Season 3 when Tom used to go on about it all the time.
I could see him already saying chalk money mid.
It still works. Kyrmi on the right-hand side, going to pick up the blue buff for his side, give it over to King Arthur, who doesn't necessarily need it too much in the grand scheme of things, but cooldown's nice. In the mid lane, Geno getting aggressive, dash taunt, and round the corner comes Mast. And that's a Khepri in an awkward situation to be in. Steps up to try and clear the wave and gets punished heavily for it.
And that's the problem with Khepri. Once you get crippled by the Ares, you don't have your abduct to get away. There's no way for you personally to cancel those chains. So it's up to your teammates to find a way to disrupt that. Kyrmi on the Serqet needs to land the Cobra's Kiss potentially to stop that. And outside of that, realistically, you need Dishonored to get there, but then he needs to be able to use that ultimate.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Ares again, and when you think about the amount of cripple that is going to be impactful in this game, it shuts down a lot of what Arthur can do in the engagements. Serqet, the same sort of thing. And of course, Khepri puts him in a very tricky spot overall to make sure that, well, those chains are either on cooldown or not aimed at them if they're going to go and try and engage.
And the way Armada drafted this Ares, it was to counter their Serqet, but then Exilium doubled down and still locked in the King Arthur after already seeing the Ares. So a lot of confidence from Dishonored to try to make these rotations without worrying about the cripple. To be fair, there's only 3 chains that come out. They only last 2 seconds each, and you're still able to do things if somebody else gets crippled instead.
I mean, but then again, there's also an item they can pick up that could give him more than 3 chains. Am I right? Am I right?
True. You could go for the Preed-win, use your no escape, get 6 chains off, but honestly, damage-wise, 2 Searing Flames might be more valuable.
I think you're right. Bigger cone as well, but more cripple is less life. Bit of a trade-off could be seen there if that was to happen as Baskin continues to duel with Dishonored. No one's really getting the better end of that. Not often we see Tears these days. He's seen a bit of a climb again in terms of play. Any particular reason? Just natural sustain and naturally annoying Tear?
You already hit the nail on the head. It's
Sustain.
the sustain, the power creep, too strong.
Well, Dishonored needs some sustain right about now as he gets pulled into Mask's no escape. And on the dunk down coming in from NotGeno, that'll be all she wrote for the solo laner. But can we see Exilium try and answer back somewhere? 3 members on the right-hand side of the map. You hope they can try and make something else happen. And there's not much on the cards. Red buff was available, I guess, for an invade attempt, but they weren't really looking for it.
Very hard to lock and kill down a solo laner, but once the CC immunity is down, this Ares becomes more valuable in finding the kills, especially with an Athena ultimate on top of that. Defender of Olympus doing so much damage, and this is the one disadvantage of trying to go for poke in the solo lane by using that ultimate.
Master mid lane getting rotated on by Kyrmi from behind. He threw out the chain, but the ultimate from Kyrmi was on the mark. Kyrmi, though, as soon as he used that ultimate, got hit by Meerkat. And that blizzard that was just raiding under a 2-man taunt from Geno puts Osath in a position to have to ult himself. He's going to manage to survive for the time being, but the damage has been done again in the mid lane.
1 for 1, jungle for jungle, but the beads were used by 2 players from Exilium, whereas only the shell out of Geno. Not enough to save the life out of his jungler this time around, but a great positioning out of Kyrmi to go from the backside. Even though that was called by the other members out of Armada, it still wasn't enough to save Mask's life simply because he got abducted immediately after the last breath.
I think the most important thing there, though, like I said, Tully, is the turnaround kill. They at least answer it back. Make it a 1-for-1 trade. From Armada's point of view, that's a godsend. But from Exilium's point of view, they'll be disappointed. You know, they would have hoped to try and potentially get out again or even continue on, find another kill, get something going.
They definitely need to get something going because right now, objectively, they're not getting any side of the neutral farm. They're not getting really the totem of coups. They only have this kill lead to their name, and it's Armada with a gold lead instead.
It's not a huge gold lead either, you know, for the early stages. I mean, totem of coups or something, but still relatively even here. It's level difference that I'm worried about, what I expected to be worried about anyway. Really, the difference is, though, is that Wheels has actually got a bit of a lead over Vetium. Not by much, but enough to cause a problem, where it's evening up the experience on the map.
That's what happens when you're investing that Living Nightmare ultimate to rotate middle, to maybe go into the solo lane. You leave the soul just to her own devices, she's getting the wave for free. And that's going to be probably more valuable than whatever you're going to do upon using that Chernobog ultimate. And then you let the soul kind of let loose at level 10, 11, 12 once that Bancroft's talent is completed. Well, now you could just kiss your tower goodbye.
Geno always just seems to be hunting. When he was playing the Ymir, he felt like he was always ambushing from the jungle and doing the same thing this time round on the Athena. Not scared to dash and go for the taunt if it's available and set up some sort of opportunity. At the moment, though, Mass just coming back from base. There's only 2 members in mid for Armada. They've got to be careful because they don't have eyes on where Kyrmi is right now. And he is in this general area, just dropping a ward near those harpies on the right-hand side to try and get some vision. Taunt does connect with him from Geno, though, and the damage from Meerkat is so impactful. And as soon as that happens, the no escape is going to pull everybody in to doom and gloom town. The dump from Geno is one of the best feelings in the world as an Athena, and Baskin gets a end or be all kill at the tail end. 3 kills in the mid lane. That's brutal.
All 5 Armada jerseys making an impact in that last one. Even Wheels was back to base, so he couldn't even split push on the left side during that. The only thing he could do is confirm his own red buff. This is Armada at its fullest strength. They weren't going to pull the trigger in mid lane. They repositioned on the right side mid camps. They cashed out Kyrmi during the death bane, and after that, he was just dead to rights.
Dishonored going to look for a cheeky play towards the end. Hard to do on a King Arthur. Try and secure that gold fury, but I like the attempt. Does knock up Geno, though, and Geno's relatively low here. Follow-up damage from the Stellar Burst was good from Wheels, but not enough for a kill on Geno. Still, though, Dishonored going at it. Has backup of Osath now, as the root does connect with Master. Mask could be under pressure here. Stunned again by Dishonored thanks to the ultimate, and Wheels will pick up the kill. It was great individual work from King Arthur to try and force Exilium to do something. At the end of the day, though, one character going down for a gold fury, it ain't all bad.
Well, if they can get this tier 1 mid tower for 500 gold, it would add a little bit of sweetness to that pod, especially if Meerkat falls.
Yeah, Meerkat's a little bit overconfident there, using his beads and the ultimate available. Meerkat's going to fall at the tail end here. No Aegis available at level 8, or is he?
No, he's dead.
They didn't do enough damage.
Okay. Caster's Curse. See, that's what I wanted to Caster's Curse, the world champion Meerkat, collegiate world champion, to survive that one. He did not deserve that one.
I mean, you don't die. You know, if you're that good, you just don't die sometimes.
There's an unfair passive once you become the collegiate world champion that you get the pon-pon luck.
Oh, what's the pom-pom look?
It's where you survive with literally 1% health when you should be dead like 99% of the time.
But pom-pom's look would have the rest of your team die and him survive and be like, well, I lived.
Sometimes, but most of the time it's him going in and him getting out. But at the end of the day, there's still more to be answered after that Gold Fury. Exilium did answer back with that tower. It's looking a little bit more better now.
With how things are looking in the solo lane now, Baskin has a nice big lead here. Almost 3 levels, or just over that, I should say. Is now he's looking towards Osath in the jungle. Pressure towards Haithi in mid. As Osath was rotating towards the right-hand side, that left Haithi exposed. But Osath gets back in time for the Khepri up, but the Lawbringer in from Baskin. He's still going in for the kill there, luckily enough. The escape was good enough, and the support from Dishonored to peel. Kyrmi in the jungle trying to deal with Vetium, who's stripping away the red buff as well. Armada really starting to get aggressive deep in enemy territory without having any towers down or any objectives to go for. They just want to fight.
Oh, no escape. Forcing out the beats and the disapparate from Wheels. But the proxying between the tier 1 and tier 2 in middle from Meerkat and Geno does catch out Dishonored. They were just doing that to enable this wave to enter the tower. But I think Dishonored wanted to say otherwise.
Baskin's just definitely having fun on tier now, being almost unkillable at the moment. Does get a bit of pressure onto him from the abducts and maybe a bit of more they can shoot. Doesn't have the Lawbringer either. And the damage is hurting from bees, and he deserves to be punished for that. Kyrmi nearly died, however, but he will survive.
He got off the fearless offensive stance. He couldn't seal the deal with the power cleave, unfortunately. I'm surprised he went for the heal while he was last breath, because you don't receive healing with the last breath ultimate being applied onto you, but he just wanted the damage off, was hoping that he would get a kill right before he died.
You can definitely feel how Armada play in this second game, though. They're really looking for the classic wombo combo is the word you use. More than anything, it's Ares, no escape, into the Athena dunk, and everybody else just burst damage down after the fact. The composition on paper works out really well. Sure, Tyr is flexible to this. He could put pretty much any solo laner in there and have this work out.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. The kills category out of Armada, that Fury did go their way, but they can't give up too much in response because Exilium have answered the call. They were tested in terms of like, all right, well, we got this objective. What are you guys going to do about it? Exilium are no slouches to that competitive aspect as they got the tier 1 mid tower, but they need to be able to do more than just that in the next time.
They did just de-ward the Oracle, so the Pyromancer there for a second around the Fire Giant pit. For a second I thought they might try and commit to it, but instead they're turning up the tier 1 tower, while Armada as a 4-man group and are at the red buff waiting for someone to walk in. And Geno doesn't even wait. He dash taunts, forces Kyrmi to get ulted by Osath. Osath falls after the fact. Kyrmi gets out, but Kyrmi's under pressure. Vetium's still going in. Baskin was coming around the corner too. 2 members dead again on Exilium, and Armada are just enjoying the fun in the jungle. Haithi's in trouble because Baskin's approaching, and he doesn't know it. He does now.
He has no idea whatsoever. Didn't even need the Defender of Olympus for the damage. Just wanted that damage mitigation, and after that 1 kill, the Bruise brothers are back at it again.
Yeah, this is Armada starting to try and demoralize Exilium more than anything else. They weren't even focusing on towers that much. That tier 1 has only just fallen now, as they were diving a tier 2 tower over and over again. And Dishonored, surrounded by multiple enemy characters, can't do much about it at all. He's going to fall, followed by the tier 2 tower.
Dishonored is just too far behind, sitting at level 11. The warrior
farm,
solo laner also going for the reinforced shoes, just not enough.
So what do you do in those situations, though? I mean, Wheel's under pressure here mid, but as Dishonored, what do you end up doing? You either rotate to make sure Baskin's not having a 5v4 situation, or you farm and then have your team complain.
I think he was backing anyway, so that's why he did rotate. I think he got bullied out in the solo lane, so he's forced it back. And at that point, yeah, you're better off rotating to the team fight. But if you weren't bullied out, you might as well continue to farm. Being 3 levels behind, it's better for you to deny farm on the enemy side and try to play catch up.
Well, the level 12 just in for Meerkat there, as he did have to expunge his beads to escape a bit of aggression, counter-aggression from Exilium, as everyone from Armada was starting to back up and farm up the jungle respawns of camps once more. Baskin done just that there on the right-hand side, taking away Dishonored's blue buff again. And Dishonored, at level 11, still needs that second relic online, but to be fair, so do 3 other members of his team.
It's not looking pretty for Exilium. Game number 1 was just an absolute barn burner. This second game is looking even cleaner from Armada.
Just saw those 2 Sunders picked up by Armada this game.
I noticed last game,
Ante?
Baskin definitely went Sunder last game on the Chaac, but I didn't really see much value throughout the game of the Sunder.
Sure.
Now it's just Armada kind of toying with their food.
They're definitely just confident, overconfident almost. He could get punished at some point. I don't know if it'll be this game specifically, though. But definitely Athena with Sunder has always been something that's been around. Dash Taunt into the Sunder guarantees so much burst damage for your team if there's no beads up.
What about Blink Taunt? Is that pretty good? I think that's even better.
It is, but it's not as fun, is it, to watch somebody explode so quickly. Vetium ulting in towards this fight, actually miscued that and went towards Kyrmi. He was looking to help towards Geno and Baskin there. Mass around the corner, though, got a lot of damage off onto Kyrmi as well at the tail end of that. And the no escape will hit Osath, who ults himself, but there was no follow-up damage focus on there at all. The rest of Armada were looking for the tier 2 tower thanks to the help of minions. Geno dashes in, looks for the taunt. Dishonored, it has the beads usage there, actually had to go into those for that second relic slot just to make sure he has a bit more survivability.
Not a good sign when your warrior soul laner has to go beads as a defensive option instead of, let's say, a Thorns or a Blink for himself, something to impact team fights. Now, he does have to survive. Exilium is all behind, but at this point, it's just so doom and gloom. Exilium can't even contest any objectives.
As the Pyromancer falls, Armada now stretched to a 10,000 gold lead in 15 minutes in. The graph, you can see, like, around 11 minutes, it wasn't too bad. Like, it was lower, sure, like 2,000, but now 10,000. It's a huge margin. I mean, I've not even spoke about the experience difference in that number either.
That's once the tier 2 tower started to really get exposed. The positioning from Geno on the Ymir, and now the Athena has been probably the standout performance to my eyes in this set. His dash taunt enabled that team fight around that tier 2 tower. They got so many kills. Obviously, Baskin with a huge level lead. His rotation was super impactful. The pressure coming through from Vetium's global rotations as he's sitting at 2-0-7 has just been quite a sight to witness.
A little bit worried about trying to survive in these team fights now for Exilium, because the way Armada have played them, they're not really taking straight up team fights of running at you. They're coming behind you from all angles as well, and it's very hard to try and ward all those options, especially when you're behind in gold and you're just trying to work on an extra item or two. Mass on the left-hand side already here to take away Exilium's red buff, give that over to Vetium as well. Fire Giant is available and looming for Armada if they want to, as Baskin on the right runs into 3 characters. from Exilium as they just walk back towards mid to escape. Blinking from Baskin, though.
Still going to force out the beats out of Haithi. Now it's Osath abducting out Geno under the Phoenix. He's going to get even pulled by the last breath, but still a very tanky Athena.
No escape from Mas, though. Going to pull in 2 targets. Vetium picks up Kyrmi. Osath still alive as Haithi falls down too. Surrender vote has begun, and I could understand it if that goes through with how this game's gone. Dishonored is one of the last men standing in front of the Phoenix. Wheels is still in base. He's given up on life by the looks of it, realizing he cannot defend that Phoenix. And in goes Armada, looking to try and close this game out in under 20 minutes.
The destination from Armada is going to be a clean 2-0 victory. Exilium can only be spectators as their Titan will ultimately crumble.
They'll definitely take down Wheels at the tail end, though, for funsies. And Geno will survive. Titan does fall on Armada. They're going to take this down 2-0. They're actually playing with the food even more. They want more kills quite clearly here, as the Titan's taking a hell of a long time. Masters die to Haithi, though, so that's a good punishment. Thanks so much, Armada, for the tail end of that game. But they will close it on out. Good performance from Armada. Exilium, lot to still improve on. But that game, I think it just got away from him and they never had a chance of getting back.
It really did, honestly. The King Arthur into the Ares, a little questionable there. The Ares pick in general was a solid counter pick. Their drafting, Armada, has been always looking at what their opponents are doing and then finding a way to counter it. Game number 1, Geno realizing there's not too many people that can get out of my walls, locks in the Ymir. Game number 2 against the Serqet, Ares instantly snap pick mask. Wonderful performance in game 2.
It really was a lot of cow picks from Armada there, and they worked out beautifully for them in the grand scheme of things. 7, 4, and 9 for Master in that one. Meerkat undying in the mid lane. Close, but not close enough to end up dying and falling down there. 13k player damage, highest in the game as well for the Merlin. And I think that's why that comp works so well. With Merlin, the mid lane, providing so much damage on that mage, having the Ares and the Athena to just provide all the CC and control, set him up to do a ton.
Yeah, after that early double kill coming through from Exilium, they just couldn't get anything else going for them. That's when Armada started to clean it up. They realized that as long as they can engage on their own terms in a better positioning and not blink in too aggressively, they were able to clean it up utilizing that Ares and the Merlin combo.
Well, it's a very quick game, or quick set so far, but the day's been anything but that. We've still got one more set to bring you, and we'll bring that straight after this break.